House Bill 178, an act relating to the Kentucky Board of Education. Representative Sheldon.
Gentleman from McCracken.
Mr. Speaker, I yield to the gentleman from Warren 17 for explanation of the bill and motion thereon.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Warren 17 for explanation of the bill and a motion thereon.
And thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to talk about House Bill 178 concerning the Kentucky State Board of Education. At this time, I just go ahead and ask for adoption or passage of House Committee Sub 1.
Clerk, please report.
House Committee Substitute 1 to House Bill 178.
Motion is for the adoption of House Committee Substitute 1. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor signify by voting aye. Those opposed, nay. House Committee Sub 1 is adopted. Gentleman from Warren.
Thank you, Speaker. Simply, I started looking at this possibility of running this bill in the interim. The Kentucky Department of Education, the Education Workforce Cabinet, the State Chamber of Commerce, superintendents, all are for this and have had input in this, so I'll briefly run through this. The last few years have been a time of instability for education in Kentucky. 4 commissioners of education in the last 3 years, including an interim commissioner. It was all caused in large part by rapid changes in the composition of the State Board of Education. As we get students and teachers back in the classroom, we need stability at the top. And House Bill 178 aims to provide that stability for the foreseeable future. It does that in the short term by confirming and codifying the current structure of the Board of Education. It adds a non-voting teacher member for a 2-year term, adds a non-voting student member for a 1-year term, adds the Secretary of Education and Workforce Development Cabinet as a non-voting ex officio member. This puts the Secretary who oversees a variety of education and workforce-related agencies on a parallel with the President of the Council of Post-Secondary Education. The Secretary has been invited to give a report and contribute to meetings historically, so this only makes sense. It also prohibits the governor from reorganizing the board, and that board has been used as a political pawn in several administrations, and we want to get just want to remove that and add stability to it. So on the long-term basis, and it ensures stability and consistency on the 11 voting member board by requiring the balance between genders and political party affiliation, as well as mandating minority representation. The bill mandates an even split between men and women. It also mandates an even split between Republican and Democratic parties, unaffiliated, and independent members and members of other political parties could also be appointed. But the split would have to be an even balance if we had that in place. Minority representation on the board must also reflect the minority population in the state at large. So with the political balance and the minority representation being consistent with the requirements of our higher education boards, the PA, or at least the structures that we're talking about, are somewhat different than those boards in the effort so that we can provide a little smoother transition into this consistent structure. So the 11 voting members, they consist of 2 cohorts, 7 and 4, and we balance those every couple of years. Each member is in a 4-year term. So all this being said, it's similar to something that was put out last year from the Senate. I think we've made it a little better. And again, everybody's looked through it. It would pass unanimously. I think it might have had a 1 pass vote in the committee. But if there is no questions, I would move for passage.